Another review. Another movie review. Here I am. I am watching more and more of these TV, I guess, movies. And I haven't done that in quite some time. And I used to be so into doing movie reviews. You should check out some of my movie reviews I have on YouTube. They're pretty good. I mean, if you let me tell it, that's the story I would tell. I would tell it like that. It's pretty dang good. We're gonna talk about the newest Planet of the Apes movie. The newest Planet of the Apes movie. And I used to be a big Planet of the Apes fan. Everything from the first five movies all the way to the TV series, all the way to maybe the next one or two movies. I think it was with Mark Wahlberg, the guy who does all those Transformer movies. He also did Planet of the Apes movies. And I kind of checked out after that. So it's been a while since I've gotten the wanted to see or talk about Planet of the Apes. Who Planet of the Apes is arguably one of the greatest movies as far as one of the best endings to a movie ever. So I've always enjoyed that. I've always liked that, you know, I always liked that because I always believed that and felt that. It was just such a, oh my God. That's what that guy, I think his name is, was it Charlton Heston? Get your filth, get your filthy ape paws off of me. Something like that. And they did pay a little tribute to that original movie when these gorillas were after the monkeys, and no, they were after the humanoid, like the humans that were running around, and the humans were drinking where they found these zebras. And mind you, this movie is supposed to be taking place in California, so there's like tons of zebra in this movie, and like just at least 30 of them, herds of them. And they were drinking, the humanoids were drinking from the water, and then the gorillas came and they were chasing after them in the same exact way from the original Planet of the Apes movie with the netting and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of cool. The woman who starred in this movie, I could have done without. I thought it was just like, why? Why is this unrealistic, unbelievable character in this movie? It was a little irritating. It was a little frustrating to have to deal with this female in this movie. I was like, she was really bad. I mean, her hair, her clothing was like from the future, but yet we supposed to believe like she's just this, you know, like, like there was intention behind her being there. And you kind of find out throughout the movie that she is some sort of like rogue spy person, but then you start to ask yourself, okay, this woman is some sort of rogue spy who infiltrates a guerrilla colony or clan as they call it in order to what again? Like the storyline at the end, I think it was written by one person, and like you see these movies, they're written by 20, 30 people. That's what it felt like. It felt like every day the director had a new idea. Oh, let's try this now. We're gonna go off paper, guys. Come on. It was just a little like, and as far as the chimpanzees and stuff like that, it was pretty they looked pretty good until they were riding the horses. Then it was like definitely a man riding a horse. It wasn't a chimpanzee. It wasn't chimpanzees and don't have long thigh bones and knees to elbow ratio. I was like, okay. But it was kind of refreshing to see a movie that didn't rely on CGI, didn't rely on that. So that was kind of cool. I like that. I hate the movies that just everything is, So in other words, despite the fact that when the chimpanzees rode the horses, you could tell it was a man in a suit. I prefer the man in a suit than I would a person who is just what am I thinking? Sorry. Just some computer generated AI approved thing. So that was cool. The movie is all about this chimpanzee that's living its life like coming of age, like going through these different trials of, like what tests are you going to take to make you the best, for your tribe. Like, it's total nepotism. I mean, the father of this chimpanzee is the king of its clan. And this chimpanzee is, of course, trying to, let the father know, like, yo, I'm doing the best I can. And the father's like, yeah, 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 whatever. Like, you could do better. And then they have this thing with the hawks. There were these big, huge hawks, like, the big ones, the ones that you see on the news. Those hawks were part of the movie. Left me a little like when they started to chant at the end and the hawks came and saved the day. It was like, did the hawks just save the day just now? Did you guys just rally together and sing a song and the hawks came and pushed the bad guy down over the cliff? Come on. There was this silo, one of these, one of these silos that contain food and ammunition and all that kind of stuff. There were these apes, these gorillas were trying to go inside one of the silos because he just knew that it had the answers to all his questions. It was like a reverse. There was this movie with Harry Belafonte years and years ago where it was like this whole reverse racism thing where the blacks were elite and the whites were. And I remember Harry Belafonte in this movie, he was describing the people, the whites that were roaming the streets. They were like, um, he referred to them as like, look at them, they ghost, did this. And he just kept on just with this gutter way of describing a group of people. And this movie was totally just reverse. um the black, how the black versus white now, it's just like the blacks are elite, the blacks are in charge and victimizing the whites. This movie was like that. This was like a reverse reality of um like the way we see these pyramids and we're like, we got to get in these pyramids. Like we didn't want to let anything stop us from getting inside the pyramids. We just knew the pyramids held answers and things. And then the way words and letters are spelt out in the movie and their realization of these letters meaning something. And there's one of the interesting parts of the movie was this character. Um, it actually rhymed with. It reminded me of the star. I mean, it reminded me of the Transformers Megatron. One of the bad guys' name kind of rhymes with Megatron. It It was like so silly to me, but I get it, But look, I don't even remember it. But sorry, it's 2 a.m. It's 2:22 in the morning here in New York City on a Saturday night, Sunday morning, just finishing the Planet of the Apes movie, and I have to tell you, I am all over the place with the review, but I was entertained. Nothing surprised me. The silo didn't surprise me. You see, here's the thing. I just finished watching a TV series called Silo on Prime, I believe. Was it is either Amazon Prime or Apple. Maybe Apple Studios or Apple has like their own thing. So I have that in my mind about that Silo movie, that series that I watched, and this, you have these. Just here's the part that I thought was cool. So there's this gringo, this white man who pops up towards the end of the movie, and the reason why he's around and alive and not killed and thrown to the fire or to the faggots, the faggot sticks of their proverbial timeline. This is um he has this man there, like the ape that's in charge, the head ape in charge. So I guess that's the HAIC. Yeah, HAIC. The HAIC is this gorilla, and I can't remember his name. It rhymes with Megatron. And this gorilla has like this main, like his main, like bodyguard kind of a thing, his enforcer. And his enforcer drowned in such a horrible death. It was like, whoa. And you know, it was a man in a suit, but it looked good. The facial expressions were great. And you got this man, and he has this some waspy kind of guy who looks like he was living in a silo for 20 years and went out for a walk and got captured by these apes, and he speaks. And not only can he speak, he can read, he can write. And the movie doesn't really talk about that because this woman just pops up out of nowhere. First, she's grunting and eating food like a savage, and now she's talking, speaking, standing upright. She's no longer squatting and crouching. She's earned the trust of these apes, of the at least two of the apes. And it's like the gorillas came in and they like destroyed this ape's home, and he went to go find his group of people. And then when he gets to them, everyone is suffering from some sort of Patty Hearst syndrome. They all Stockholm syndrome out working for this gorilla who's trying to get inside of a silo. And then this woman is there who speaks great English. Not only does she speak English, she reads it and writes it. And then she knows her way around a silo like it's nothing. She knows how to turn it on, power it on. She's looking for these panels to get into it. And her whole plan is to flood it so that the apes won't grab the technology that's there. She's afraid that they're going to grab the technology, grab the weapons, and do something with this weapons. Mind you, there's really like, just such a small amount of humanity left that are like maybe stuck in these silos, or living in these caves and stuff like that. And it would appear that, like, no exaggeration, it appears to be, at least from you see, the way the movies go is that once the guy Caesar becomes aware of himself, he has like gotten his hands on some chemicals. He makes a few other of his friends, they take the chemicals, and then he gives the chemicals to like maybe the water supply or whatever have you, and it allows the apes to speak, and in turn it gave like some sort of disease to humanity where we lost the ability to speak. But there's these like silos all around the United States of America, all over the country, all over the world, that humanity has found a way to put a pause on what's going on outside the proverbial doors. And I would, from what it looked like to me, we're talking 100 years minimum. So we have a group of people who, like, this woman is obviously part of some sort of group of people. Why is she alone? Why is she out there by herself? Shouldn't she have had her background story of when she went out there with four people and she's the last of the four people? And it just was very vague. And then, these hawks, and, the coming of age, and the hawk accepting him as the leader. And then it was like a play on Caesar, all those different Caesars that lived throughout our time, as far as not our time, but as far as like Roman times. And then you have this ape who's basically uttering out these words as if he's speaking, and speaking like, I am Caesar now, and understanding this because he has this guy who speaks English, reads it and writes it, and it's like reading him books. And he's learning. The ape, the gorilla is like really into finding out what the hell's going on in the world. Still asking the questions, but with an iron fist, of course. He's gathering up as many monkeys, apes, chimpanzees, orangutans as possible to get into the silo. So it's also like that movie that Mel Gibson made, where they were speaking in some sort of ancient dialect, and they were like, these soldiers were venturing out to get people in order to have them sacrifice for their god. It was the same kind of thing. This guy is out there going all over the place looking for more chimpanzees and monkeys to bring over so that they can break into and get into the silo. And this woman knew an entrance, a venting entrance to get in, and I thought that was very suspicious that she knew this. Like, lady, you was just like rumbling on the floor, going eating food and stuff like that. Now you're like, now you're all fresh faced and clean, and your way around a silo like as if it's your neighborhood McDonald's or something like that at a small town with only 600 people. I was like, okay. And then, of course, there's this huge thing that happens where she she has to eventually leave. And now when she leaves, where does she go? Of course, she goes to another silo type space, and she brings with her a relic from the other place that she was at. So it seems like maybe she was on her way to that silo. Something happened where those gorillas were coming and grabbing people and kidnapping them so that they can help break into the silo. They were trying to use brute strength just to get in these places. And there was some sort of pyrotechnics, where there was fire involved, but it was like, not anything to get into a silo. It was like, these gorillas are not engineers. These gorillas are not architects. These gorillas are trying to figure out why are they there, and they only know because of a few things like rumors and innuendos and legendary stories. They don't really know anything. So I kind of commend the the this huge gorilla leader to grab hold of that person that can read these books to you. Because just imagine if we were able to not only get into the pyramids, but were able to find the living life that came from that time, or at least was passed down. The information was passed down, the ability to read and understand these like hieroglyphs. How great and how powerful and how resourceful would that be? And there was an interesting scene that a scene that I actually really liked a lot was when this woman was being confronted by the man that works for the gorilla, and he's trying to tell her, like, listen, you're trying to like blow this thing up and flood this thing, you're gonna fail at this, and all these monkeys here are gonna be skinned, and you're gonna learn a very horrible lesson here, that this is not the right thing to do. In other words, he was trying to, like, this guy's suffering severely from Patty Hearst syndrome. He's happy to be alive, happy to have a job, and he doesn't mind reading to this gorilla all these, books and ideas, and then this gorilla's just broadening up his mind in a ruthless, maniacal kind of a way, in a Stalin kind of a way. He's like, he's Stalining it up with these gorillas and monkeys, and he's obtaining massive information because he has someone reading to him. So, I mean, I thought that was like really clever for the movie. But at the ending of the movie, when the woman, it's like revealed that she goes back to where she's supposed to, she brings this, this microchip, so to speak, to her place. And they don't tell us what they do with it. Oh yeah, they use it as a communication device, because they then start speaking, and then another place, hey, we're here, we're from Indiana, yes, we can hear you loud and clear. So they had a hard time with that. And then this whole homage to Saturn starts to pop up a little bit. You see Saturn and its importance in our reality kind of pop up in this movie here with the monkeys and the gorillas. And I thought that was kind of cool too. It's like Saturn is such a strong. I mean, every time I take out my P900, my Nikon P900 camera, and I look up and I point it to, certain spots, and you can see Saturn, or at least what appears to be rings. I mean, from the camera, it looks like antennas, but it's supposed to be Saturn, and it's kind of cool to see how Saturn popped up. And when I say cool, I'm just saying how predictably cool it was, if that makes any sense. But, hey, it's a review on a movie that's been around since the 1960s. All right, where the same guy who played Moses, also played in this movie, and it was just so iconic. It was just such a great, like the greatest ending to a movie. So, we are, like, I'm gonna just touch a little bit, slightly, I'm gonna just touch slightly on what's called a stalled century. Okay, and a stalled century is where we have no new ideas. Everything is either worse than it ever was before, or getting worse, or it's bad on purpose. Like, we look at all the movies from Star Trek, not Star Trek, Star Wars, and these things are done bad on purpose. This reality that we in seems to feed on anger and disappointment like a commodity. So if we're in this reality that feeds on constant, the irritation and the disappointment and the anger of humanity, then it makes sense that some of their iconic things that they care about the most in these movies seems to be constantly getting ruined, and it's done on purpose. So, you have that to fall back on. So, was this movie done bad on purpose? I would say yes, but I think it was good enough to hold your attention because it stood true to the Caesar story. Caesar's story is still in there, and Charlton Heston's story is still in there. That's the guy who played in the first movie. I could be wrong. Yeah, Charlton Heston, the guy who did the Moses, he was in there. Get your filthy paws off of me. He says something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. I really don't remember, but it was such an iconic scene. And would I recommend this movie? I don't think children would like this movie. I think that if you're under 30 years old, you're gonna be like, This is whack. But if you're, I'm a 50-year-old man. I remember the first one when it came out. I remember how great the first one was, and we accepted the second and third, and the fourth was even really pretty good. And then it got to the point where they were like, they were doing like alternate reality movies, and we didn't even know what the multiverse was yet. There was like movies with the Planet of the Apes where they were like running through the cities of what looked like Montreal, and all in this military gear, and the world became this huge military. Like the whole world became, and all things in it, including the building of it. You see, that's the thing I didn't like about some of the movies. It's like this movie was true to like these apes are not building anything; they're just kind of living in what's crumbling around them. Like, let's keep it funky. All right, you're not an architect, you're not an engineer. Slow that down. Okay, your brain, could only solve but so much. Whereas some of the Planet of the Apes, they were having the apes as if they were like designing and putting, like, especially in the TV series, they're like putting flower pots and these places, which wasn't like really cool, man. Like, come on, stop. An ape is not going to rearrange the flowers, man. I don't care how much he can speak, you know. So, with that being said, and I've said a lot, I'm a little bit all over the place because I'm not sure of my placement in the movie. I would say see it. Go see it. It wasn't the worst movie in the world. You're not gonna be thoroughly entertained, but it's kind of, it has nuance. It has, it has something, and I enjoy that somethingness of it all. I'm Big Elvis the Chef Rosenberg, and I am here with another review. You gotten any value out of this? You know what to do, right? Come on. Let me see who's here. Okay, Mad Saint Media. Can you shoot out my buddy? It's his shout out my buddy, and his name is Mike Hunts Hertz. Mike Hunts Hertz. Hmm. Well, I think that's like some sort of like play on words to make me say something that's, you know. So I'm not going to do that. And we don't do shout outs here. We do hellos and big ups. Booyaka. But we don't do shout outs. And then we have Bob Neiman. I know this guy. He beat me up at the Golden Corral and took 2 trays of popcorn shrimp. I know this guy. He beat me up at the Golden Corral and took 2 trays of popcorn shrimp. Okay, thanks for that. Mad Saints Media at Bob. Get between me and the crab legs, and it's your fault. Okay. Bob left. Okay. There's a guy named SPLOOG Meal 427 at you like BOIS. All right. Somebody gave me the thumbs up over here. Sean Fit Workout. Oh. And then we have Kika Channel. You look a mess. I'm cold. It's not a mess. I'm wolfed out. It's different. I'm beautiful. Come on. You look a mess. All right. I'll take that. I'm just on my wolfed out season. In a minute, it's been like 4 months almost. No shave, no trim. Let the hair grow. You know? Look at that. Yeah, now I look like a rock star. Big Elvis the chef. The mess. Boom.